The final whisper, a journey from shadows to Shahada. The rain came down in sheets, hammering the windshield of the dusty black sedan as it crawled through the wooded backroads of northern Vermont. A soft fog wrapped the trees like the breath of forgotten souls, and in that silence, Mark Keller drove alone, the silence louder than thunder. His mother had died the previous week, his last family gone. He was heading to the cabin they used to visit, maybe to feel close to her again, or maybe to feel something at all. Mark had long been known as a skeptic. A history professor, he believed in facts, timelines, cause and effect, not faith, not miracles. But something had been gnawing at him ever since his mother's final breath. The way her fingers curled around a beaded necklace she never told him about. The strange words she whispered again and again. Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim. He dismissed it as delirium, or a foreign phrase she'd picked up in her nursing years. But the unease never left. The old wooden cabin stood in silence, the smell of wet pine surrounding it like a shroud. The fireplace still had ash in it from their last visit 2 years ago. Mark sat on the couch, holding her necklace. The beads were smooth and cold, strung together with a silver pendant that bore what looked like Arabic calligraphy. Curiosity pulled him to his laptop. He uploaded a photo of the pendant to an online translator. Allah. Then he entered the next inscription. Ayatalkursi. The search results flooded the screen. The throne verse, one of the most powerful verses of the Quran. A verse Muslims recite for protection, for peace, and against evil. He chuckled bitterly. His devoutly Christian mother had been reading the Quran. The power flickered. Thunder roared overhead. The cabin shook slightly as the storm intensified. That night, he had the first dream. He stood in an endless desert, his mother sitting beside a well, her face glowing. She smiled without sadness, saying, "You will hear the call, Mark. Follow it, but beware, they will come first." He woke in cold sweat, heart pounding. The beads had rolled off the table and were lying perfectly coiled on the floor, pointing toward the door. The air felt heavy. He tried brushing it off as stress. But over the next 3 days, things grew stranger. The radio turned on by itself at night, playing faint whispers in Arabic. Doors creaked open. A shadow passed across the wall, though no one else was there. Once, he found his laptop playing a Quran recitation of Surah Al-Baqarah on loop. He hadn't opened it. Then came a knocking. Always at 3 a.m. A slow, deliberate knock. No one was ever there. He emailed a Muslim colleague, Professor Idris, for insight. Idris responded within hours, asking if he was alone and if he had touched anything Islamic recently. Mark mentioned the pendant. Idris's reply was chilling. That verse protects against the jinn. If your mother embraced Islam secretly, she may have recited it often. You need to recite it too. Play in the cabin. Do not respond to the knocking. Mark had laughed. Until the night, he answered the door. The storm had ceased. A strange calm hung in the air, like the world held its breath. The knock came again. This time, Mark opened it. There was a woman outside. Pale, eyes deep black. She smiled too widely. "You're not supposed to be here," she whispered. He slammed the door, heart thudding like a war drum. The Quran on his laptop began playing again, without being turned on. He listened. Allahu la ilaha illa huwa. Something shifted. Over the next days, Mark began reading more about Islam. Not for faith, but for answers. He discovered that many who converted often felt an inexplicable pull or resistance. The jinn, unseen creatures, could afflict those walking toward truth. The idea was absurd, but how could he explain the scratches on his chest in the morning, the cold breath on his neck at night? One night he gathered courage. He lit a candle and played Surah Al-Baqarah from his speakers while holding the pendant. That night, the shadows screamed. He heard wails, not from the forest, but from inside. Cabinets flew open. Windows slammed. But he kept reciting what he remembered from the verse. And then, silence. An overwhelming peace descended on the room. For the first time in days, he felt warmth. The next morning, Professor Idris arrived, unannounced. He'd driven 5 hours, worried for his colleague. They prayed together. Idris explained the basics of Islam: Tawheed, Salah, the Quran, the love of Allah, and the stories of the prophets. Mark was captivated, not by fear anymore, but by the calm, by how Islam honored Jesus yet restored truth to his message, how the Quran spoke directly to his heart. For the next week, Mark listened to lectures, read translations, and wept silently when he reached Surah Maryam. One night, he sat under the stars. The fog finally lifted. "Why did you hide this, Mom?" he whispered. "Were you afraid I'd mock you? That I'd never understand?" A gentle breeze passed, and a voice within said, "You understand now." He stood, heart full. The call to prayer echoed in his mind, though no speaker played it. It was time. He took the pendant in his hands, tears streaming down his face, and uttered the words slowly. "Ashhadu an la ilaha illa Allah, wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah." The wind stopped. A moment of sacred stillness. Then, for the first time in his life, Mark smiled, not with his face, but with his soul. He was no longer Mark Keller, the lost historian. He was Muhammad Khalil, the seeker who had found the truth, not through logic, but through pain, fear, and love. From that day, the cabin became his retreat, not haunted anymore, but a place of sujud, of whispers to Allah, of hope. He'd share his story often, not for fame, but to warn others that when you walk toward Allah, the darkness may try to hold you back, but it cannot compete with the light of truth. And sometimes, that light begins with a whisper, Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim. If this story touched your heart, remember that the journey to Islam is often one of courage, loss, and discovery. Like Mark, many find faith not in ease, but in the deepest struggle. Subscribe to Deeninminute for more real stories that awaken the soul and bring you closer to Allah. Ayatalkursi wall sticker link in bio to protect your home like it protected Mark. Like, share, and leave a comment if you believe in the power of Allah's guidance.